This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, boys and girls from Riverside Elementary and Our Lady of Lourdes School. Welcome to Juma in the Sabi Sands. My name is Steve Falconbridge and I'm joined on camera by Craig. It is a very hot, sweltering and sticky afternoon. It's 36 degrees Celsius, 96 degrees Fahrenheit. And well, today, what can we do but maybe talk about how green it is? It is the wet season, it is the rainy season, so the grasses are starting to grow. It's a good time of year to identify grass. If you like your type of things, please feel free to send any questions through with your teacher. We'd love to hear from you and answer any questions you might have. Any comments as well. I believe you are first time on safari and you might want to know what exactly is a safari. Well, a safari is basically the excursion underneath African skies in the search of wild animals. But where do we find wild animals in South Africa? Well, out here in what we call the savannah. And the savannah is basically made up of grasses and trees, like this beautiful little tree over here. You can see it's starting to grow. We've come out of the dry season where everything was looking very dry, very dead, and very unhealthy. And well, the amazing resilience that the savannah has. The resilience means the ability to bounce back to a state that once was before. Last year, all the animals ate all the leaves and grass here. Now look at how beautiful and green it is. So each of these grasses has got a different name. Each of them has got a different value and a different ecological role in the environment, as do all of these trees. And hopefully this afternoon we can maybe talk about a few of them, because when it's green like this, as you can see over my shoulder, you can't see very far into the bushes. And well, the animals, that's where they are. They're in the thickets. They are hiding away. And well, we're going to do our best to see if we can find you any. But while in search of the animals, that is what we find. We find grasses, trees, insects, and all sorts of exciting things. So jump aboard. You're officially getting onto the vehicle now. We are on safari, where you need a pair of binoculars. You need a very nice hat if you have one. And obviously enthusiasm is number one priority on board. So please jump on board. Feel free to ask those questions. It is very hot. You can see sweat is dripping off of my nose. I've just got back from a little bit of leave and it's not as hot where I just came from. So we need to get used to this again. Very high humidity. Claire, we have only fun on our safaris. Safaris is all about fun. That's why I said if you bring the right attitude along, you can only have fun in what you do out here. And fun is the name of the game when out in the African wilderness, because sometimes it's quite tricky to find animals. So we then have to play games. Lots and lots of games to play out here. And well, this time of year, because it's so green and thick and it's so hot, you have to have a very good sense of humor. In fact, in the dry season, it's much cooler, much easier to find animals. That's why there's different times of year to come on safari. The winter months, which in the northern hemisphere is the summer months, so summer holidays for those people in America. They come through to Africa and have a wonderful time here in our winter months. That's when there's no leaves, no grass. The animals are just all over the place. You can find them quite easily. But now, well, now is the time of flowers, baby animals, insects, and of course the heat. Well, it comes in those seasons, and that's exactly what the savannah is all about. The savannah with the sunshine in the summer is when the rainfall comes, and that is why we have a savannah. It's not too much rain, just enough. If we had too much rain, it would become a forest. And we do have some forest in South Africa, much further down the coast. But anyway, I'm not the only one out on safari. The only one trying to have some fun up in the Masai Mara. Someone I haven't met, but you haven't yet met. His name's Isaac, out on safari. I'd like to show you some elephants.
Well, welcome again to the beautiful Masai Mara. We have a beautiful elephant grazing slowly with the rest of the herd onto our right. And a very warm welcome once again on this afternoon's game drive. My names are Isaac Rotich and my cameraman Bungay. Welcome to this beautiful place. In case you didn't join us this morning, we saw this herd of elephant and it was headed right where we see it. Remember, we're streaming live. If you want to join us, you can join us. You can join us on Twitter, #SafariLive, or YouTube live stream. This is one of the big matriarchs in this herd that we saw this morning, and she's still eating. You know, their metabolism is very bad, so they need to be continuously eating. The little guy, I think, is trying to beg. Sometimes they can pull off grass from the soil, so they will wait for their mothers to pull it off, then they will take it off their mother's mouth. It's not very common, but it does happen. They're heading our way, and I'm hoping they will get closer and closer. They seem to be very, very comfortable. The weather is beautiful. Logan, yes, but it wasn't a serious, a serious animal. I was attacked by a vulture. Can you imagine? I saw it on the ground, walking on the ground, on the road, and I tried to see what was wrong with it. So I tried to grab it, and it really pecked me with its beak. I couldn't believe it because I thought it would try and run away. Yes, I have been attacked by an animal, and I was attacked by a vulture. In today's live broadcast, we have Riverside Elementary School, which is new to Safari, and Our Lady of Lourdes School, which is also very new to Safari. Welcome, guys, and please ask as many questions as you want. Make it interesting. This is a little guy, about maybe 18 months, and he's starting to eat grass. Can you imagine such a big animal eating grass only? Looks like, he's tired of his mom, so he's headed towards, the rest of the herd. They're all in a line. Dosia, in record, in books, they have written that they can weigh up to 6 tons, but I don't think I've ever seen a 6 ton. Over here, a good big size bull can weigh up to about 5,000 kilos or 5 tons, or in pounds, 10,000 pounds. That's a big animal. It's almost 4 times the size of my vehicle. The one I'm driving right now, it's a Land Rover. So it's a big, big animal. They're at peace. The road you see way back there is the one I take every day coming down to show you these, beautiful animals, and also go back to have a rest. They're heading towards the main road. You see that? That is the road I come down and up every day. It is a very nice road, but you have to be really careful driving, and it makes you become a better driver when you drive on it every day, because you have to be extra careful, and also you have to have a nice working vehicle. As we enjoy watching the elephants here, let's take you back to Steve, who's enjoying some water. I don't know what's happening in the water. I hope there's something there.
Welcome back to Djuma in the Sabi Sands, where we are having some fun. Well, I said in the dry season, it's much easier to find animals because there's almost no water. The water's only in specific places, but now everywhere we go, these little pans of water, and that's where we need to find animals. But that means they could be everywhere. But inside, there's a few tadpoles. This is the time of year where the frogs dance and sing and find their mates, of course, and they lay their eggs in these pans and mud wallows. And, well, it smells rather gross, actually, but these things are very important parts of the ecosystem. Firstly, animals can drink here, birds, lots of insects as well. I just had a wasp here digging in the mud. The wasps will actually take some of the mud, dig it up, and then go make a nest inside where they lay their eggs, which is very, very special. But other animals, buffalo, warthog, elephants, like you saw just now with Isaac, they will come here. There's actually the tracks of the elephant here, this big muddy patch over here. And right in the middle here, must be very careful. A friend of mine slipped in mud not so long ago, and she's been well remembered for it. But here an elephant has been lying in the mud, and well, when you have fun on safari, it's good to start actually with with a little bit of mud. There we go. Hello, Anya. You want to know about footprints? Well, basically, footprints is about the size, isn't it? If you look at my foot, whoops, it's rather big in comparison to most of the animals here. Now, an elephant's foot, if I put my foot inside, the elephant's track, it's not very clear because it's in the mud. The elephant's track is very big and round. And, well, there's only one animal with a foot that size. A rhino has got a foot also big like that, but it's not as round. It's a bit more square. And, well, also with a lot of practice, you get to learn this. But these little wallows are great places to come and look for animals that are having fun because, well, how do you have fun out in the wilderness than covering yourself in mud? I'm sure you've all done it. I used to do it lots as a child. Cover myself in mud, make little mud balls like this and throw it to Craig. Are you ready, Craigo? That wasn't a very good throw. But we are going to have fun out here today. And first of all, what I wanted to do, just rinse off that mud in this very gross water. But out here, we've also got lots and lots to eat this time of year. And you can see this bush. It's a very pretty bush. Look at all those berries. Now, it's a very easy bush to remember the name. I'm sure you'll be able to remember this name because they're berries. And they're white. And, well, it's a bush. It is called the white berry bush. How amazing is that? And here, little berries. Beautiful. It's my favorite time of year. We basically just walk around looking for these berries to eat. The monkeys, all the birds will feed on them, as well as myself and some of the other people I work with. And inside are very small little seeds that when the animals go, the birds and the monkeys, they transport the seeds all over the place. But anyway, I'm also not out on safari alone this afternoon. We've also got Jamie Patterson, who I believe has found a wildebeest.
Hello, and a very good afternoon. And look at this very special little creature that we have to show you. It is a tiny baby wildebeest, also known as a gnu. Now, my name is Jamie, and this afternoon, Sebastian is on camera with me, and a very warm welcome to the students joining us. There is a fly on my ear, and it's really irritating. There we go. Okay, it's gone. I've done my introduction. Now you can go away. Now you can have a look at the lovely wildebeest that have gathered together. Now, Steve's just been telling you about working out where an animal's gone based on its footprints. And we've just found some very fresh paw prints of a particular cat that we're very fond of. His name is Hosanna, and he's a leopard. But he does not look like this wildebeest. And that's the wonderful thing about being out on safari, is that it's not just about finding something like a leopard or a lion or some elephants. You get to enjoy all the different animals that you see along the way, including this particular creature, which is actually, believe it or not a type of cow or anything like that. It is a type of antelope, which is kind of our equivalent of a deer. And they all give birth around about this time of year, which is why we had those babies earlier. And those of you that were watching closely, you can even see there's something moving in the background. There we go. There's a different type of antelope that looks very different to this wildebeest. You'll also notice there's a fence. That's not to keep the animals out or in. That is actually just somebody's garden. Okay, so it's just to keep the people safe within the garden. So there we go. That's an antelope called a nyala. That's spelled N-Y-A-L-A, nyala. Paige would like to know where we sleep and if we have homes here. Paige, we're very fortunate in that we do indeed have roofs over our head. We have houses. They look pretty similar to the houses that you're used to over there. Maybe a little bit smaller, maybe sometimes a little bit bigger. But our house that we live at, Sebastian and myself, which is just a few hundred meters or a few hundred yards away from where we are, even has a swimming pool. So yes, we're very lucky. We live in normal houses. Some people live in the cities, in apartments, but we get to live in a house. And the rest of our crew live in a camp that we call the DRC. And they all have rooms around a courtyard where we all gather to eat dinner and to have morning meetings and all those tedious things that people have to do as a part of a job experience. When we could be out here looking at animals, which is the much more exciting thing to do. Do you want to see the baby wildebeest again? I bet you do. Let me go back a bit. I'm going to reverse. You will notice that we are, I'm pretty sure that Steve's already told you this, we are sweating slightly. That's because it's quite warm. Oh, no, okay. I think that was actually my fault because I had the vehicle off. I had the vehicle off when I moved, so they got a little bit of a fright because they're used to the sound of the vehicle, but they're not used to the sound of a vehicle rolling. I was trying to be as stealthy as possible. Okay, we're hearing lots and lots of alarm calls now. A combination of grey go-away birds and a squirrel who is also calling. Now, those are two different tiny birds. Well, one's a squirrel and then the other is a bird. So they could be alarm calling at a bird of prey, which is a potential threat to both of them. But they could also be alarm calling at the leopard that we're looking for. So I think what we're going to do is listen closely while we do that. Because our little baby wildebeest is hiding, we're going to send you across to Isaac, who has something much larger than both a wildebeest and a leopard, and even us.
Yeah, we're still with the elephants, and they seem to have picked up the pace. It's like a granny decided that he wanted to move faster. Elephants live in a small family, just like we do, but their daddies don't live with them. Here we have the oldest female. I think we'll pick him up for you. She's usually the biggest, and then her offsprings and their youngsters. So here they're all related. It's grandmother, mommy, sisters of mommy, and then cousins and nephews and nieces. And it seems like Granny wanted to lead them somewhere. Where they are headed, there is a marsh which has got very soft grass, and I think that's what she wants them to eat. In this herd, there is one with a tail that has lost a tail. There, we call him Stumpy. Stumpy is a boy, and he's about 2.5 years old. But he's very, very heavy. Stumpy is around 1 ton, I would say. He's that big. Lottie, an elephant is very tall. It can stand up to around 5 meters, tall. That is around, 15 feet. It's very, very tall. Much taller than most of us. And that is a big bull. A female can stand about 12 feet, which is 4 meters. Still very tall as my Land Rover. They seem to have relaxed and reduced the pace. It means maybe there is something nice to eat there, and that's what the old female wants them to eat. You see that? She is the oldest female. You see how big she is? She is, I think, the oldest female in this herd. Altogether, there are about 14, and this is a typical family group in the Masai Mara. We call them a herd. They seem to have quite some few young ones. Yesterday I counted about 3, but today I see 2. Julian, an elephant can get as old as many of us, about 65 to 70 years. Very much like we humans live to that age, they can live to that. But also, it does depend. If they have a good life, they will live to that. If they have a bad life, maybe they get disease, they might die at an earlier age. if the two bulls that, become too rowdy and fight each other, they might die of injuries. So, but if they live a good life, they will live about 65 to 70 years. And during all those years, they're always accumulating knowledge, just like we do. We read books. For them, they continue, moving from one area to another, learning where to get the best minerals in the soil, learning, where to get the best trees, leaves to eat when they need them. And all this is taught by the the oldest female, who we have seen already. We call her the matriarch. Right now, I'm thinking she is leading them to the swamp, where there is very soft grass. Emily, good question. Where are all the male elephants? Male elephants don't stick around for very long. They only come, during, mating time. Once they mate, then they leave. And the reason is they live for a very long time before reaching maturity, where they are ready to meet, to make babies. I'll try and go around again so we can see them and see if actually I'm wrong or right, if they're headed down to the swamp where they have nice soft grass. Oh, I'll take you down to Jamie, who I hear can hear something. I hope it's something nice. Jamie, good luck.
Okay, so remember how I said that we were listening to alarm calls. Now, what an alarm call means, because that's a little bit confusing, is basically when a squirrel or something like a go-away bird or any small animal that could potentially be a meal for a bigger animal sees a predator, like a leopard or an eagle or something like that, what they do is they start to give off what's known as an alarm call, which is basically them saying, predator, 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 predator. So it's basically like a security alarm. There's his footprints here. Here we go. I'll show you. Okay, these are a little bit tricky to see. That is perfect. Thank you very much, Seb. Okay, so I'm going to jump out for 1 second and I'm going to show you because it's a bit tricky to see. So give me a moment. And let me grab my microphone before it goes walking away. Okay, so this is the track that we're looking at, and believe it or not, that is the footprint of a leopard. And the reason that I know that is I can see 1, 2, 3 little marks on the back of the track, and these are his toes over here. And he is walking this way. Now, not only do I know that it's a leopard, I actually even know which foot it is. So in this case, it is, okay, this is a little bit of a confusing one because he actually turns slightly, but this is his right foot, because just like with human beings, if you hold your hand out and you can see that your middle finger is the longest, it's exactly the same. Don't count your thumb because that doesn't work. I can show you that this toe is the longest. It's the one that goes the furthest away from his foot, which means that it is his right foot. So these are quite fresh. They're nice and neat, as clear as my footprint is there. Not quite, but almost, which means he's walked along in this direction and he's crossed here. Now, I can't drive there, because imagine if we all went driving off the road whenever we saw tracks. That would be a bit of a problem. So how do we solve this problem? We go around and we check to see whether or not the footprints come out of here. If they do, then it means that we check the next road and the next road. If they don't, it means he's somewhere between here and the road. Okay, we're going to go see if we can find him. I have A sneaky idea that he might be hiding in the shade, which is something that we all want to do while we're out here on safari today. Let's go and see whether or not Steve has managed to cool down.
Thanks, Jamie. Good luck finding whatever might be scaring those animals. Well, boys and girls, we've found a small family of Nyala. I think Jamie has already shown you one, but they're quite far away. And they're very camouflaged. You see how stripy they are? And, well, Jamie was talking just now about alarm calls. And, well, the Nyala makes this very loud whoa. Did you see? She heard me there. And the reason why the Nyalas make this loud barking sound is because of the environment we find them in. You see how green and thick the vegetation is? The Nyala, if it wants to shout and say, there's a leopard over there, it has to be very deep, like a very deep bass drum. It needs to be very deep and loud so that it can penetrate this very dense vegetation that you see around. And at the same time, you can see how nice and striped they are. If they walked nicely for you there, you'd be able to see how they walk as well. We had them just cross the road in front of us. And I think one of the questions before was, how do you know whose track it was? And, well, for myself in the beginning, I had some help, but a lot of people back in the day, before they had any knowledge of tracking, you watch an animal move and you go and then see exactly where it walked. And then you go have a look at the track that it left behind. And that, for you, right there in the moment, is the absolute truth of that track. No one is telling you. You are figuring it out for yourself because you're seeing the animal move. And then you go and see the footprint. And, well, that is the Nyala that we see. Hello, Orion. You want to know if I went to college? I did indeed. I went to university, learned lots about animals and more, especially about plants. But you don't have to go to college to do what we do out here. There are short courses, one-year courses that you can do, and over time you develop your knowledge. But basically you go into a bush school, which is in the middle of nowhere, and that's where you learn all about the animals. But talking about Nyala, here's the Nyala over here. You can see the very pretty little female on the top there. You see she's got the stripes. And she's quite orange in colour, and that makes them very camouflaged in the bush. But then down here are the tracks. So this is a very nice book for learning tracks because it shows you the size, how big the front and the back foot are, 7 centimetres versus 6.5 centimetres. And, well, the way these animals move is that the front foot steps down first, the back foot then steps on top of that. That's a very characteristic feature for the animals in the same family as the Nyala. So if you find a track similar to the Nyala that's stepping on top, but it's bigger, it's probably their cousin, the Kuru, or if it's also stepping on top and it's a little bit smaller, it's probably their cousin, the Bushbuck, which all come from the same family, and they all have that same whoa, loud alarm call that Jamie was probably listening out to earlier to be able to penetrate this dense vegetation. Well, on we're going to carry on, see if we can find you any more animals. But we do have a few flowers and things to talk about as well. But hopefully we'll find you some elephants somewhere in the thickets here. There were some tracks earlier, but, well, Isaac has been lucky already and he's already got you some.
We're still with the elephants, and exactly where I predicted they were going, that's where they are. You know, that is a very nice area with lots of soft grass. Eating this is like eating, for me, I usually say eating spaghetti. You don't need to chew it for very long, just swallow it. I'm still looking for Bob, this, who lost his tail. We don't know from what. He was here yesterday in this herd together with Stumpy, but I haven't seen him. Okay, if you sweep to the left farther, I don't know if he's there or not. If he's not here, I guess the two old sisters are sisters and they had met and formed a small reunion and then they parted ways, and that's why he's not here. Elephants do that. You know, old females will every now and then, when there is plenty of food, will meet up and stay for a few days together, then part ways. That little guy in the middle there doesn't seem to be, doing much with his trunk. He's playing around with it. At a very young age, it doesn't have any muscle, so it's not able to grab anything. It's just like a toy, so they keep, swinging it around from left to right, and then slowly it develops the muscles, and so it can start, pulling things off the ground, and sometimes even becomes a weapon, hitting their cousins and brothers their age, because they are very playful at this age. Oh, it spooked a bird. Did you see that? They are very curious, just like we do. We want to know everything when we're young. When we see something, we always, try and go. Sophia, how big is an elephant ear? An elephant ear is around 1 meter square. It can be of a big elephant. It can be 1 meter square. So it's a big flap on the side of its body. The ears actually contain the thinnest skin in an elephant's body. So for the elephant to cool off in the heat of the day, it pumps its blood through the ears while flapping, and sometimes actually, pouring water using its trunk underneath on the underside of the ears while flapping to cool down the body. They don't do very well by losing extra heat through the skin. So the ears play the biggest role of cooling the elephant's body. Looks like Granny is still leading them somewhere. From where we are, the escarpment is not very far to my left. And over there are few trees that maybe she wants to lead them so they can feed on them, because maybe she knows they haven't been eating those trees for a couple of months. Leo, good questions. Yes, elephants do sleep. Smaller ones, rather, they do sleep. When they're relaxed and their mothers are not moving, they'll sleep. The big ones, most of the time, doze. They are so big, if they lie down, they might not be able to wake up. Can you imagine? And they know that, so they will prefer to stay awake most of the time. Every now and then, they'll doze while standing. And we know that because when they doze on a flat ground, we can see their trunks are stretched out, so they're relaxed. And that's how we can tell they doze. But the young ones, yes, they do sleep. Looks like that's another one that just came from the left. He's actually a big daddy. Look at him. That's a big male. Continuing on your question, Leo, elephants don't sleep. They don't have a specific place they sleep. Where they feel comfortable, they will lie. Young ones prefer to sleep on flat grounds, close to their moms. In the heat of the day, sometimes elephant will go and find a shady tree and stand under, and that's when you see the young ones lying around underneath their mother's legs. And the mothers know that the young ones are there, so they won't step on them. I'm sure in one of the coming weeks, maybe we'll be able to show you that when it warms up. That is a very big one. He wasn't here. I think he just came out of the forest to my left. And he's going around saying hello to everybody. You can tell that he's a male because he's much, much bigger. Males become, are much bigger, and they hang around by themselves. Not everybody is happy by his presence. You can tell every time he tries to move close to those babies, they are heading away. I think they wanted to find out who it was, and now that they found out who he is, as we continue enjoying these elephants, we link you back to Steve, who's enjoying himself down in Sabi Sands.
Well, thank you very much, Isaac. Well, we've decided to show you a track. Seeing as we were talking about tracks before, here you can see in the very soft sand, looks to be a relatively large hoof, doesn't it? Okay, but it's not the most clear one. So we're going to jump to one just over here on the left, which I've gone and measured. And now you've got to pay very careful attention here, boys and girls. Here, there's actually two tracks over here. There's this one, which is underneath, which is the front foot. And then this is the beautiful back foot on top. And you can easily see that ridge in the middle there. This is a very characteristic feature of the nyala or kuru or bushbuck. But the size, you can see by my ruler over here, it's about 10 centimeters. So that is by no means possible to be a nyala. A nyala is much, much smaller, only 7. So it's probably a male kudu that walked here. And you can see that here is the very similar sort of foot structure that we were talking about with the nyala earlier before. And also what you can see is if you do look around, you'll notice that there's 1 and 2 and 3. And, well, if it was a nyala, there'd be maybe one big nyala and the rest would be quite small. But these are all quite big, so it's a very good chance that it is kudu. And the reason they step on top of each other's feet like that is to make it very quiet when they're walking in the dense thickets where they live. Because that is what nyala and kudu do. Excuse me while I climb back up. So that's it. If you want to identify a track, it's good to measure it because same species. Sorry about the pole here. We're expecting a little bit of rain. That's a roof on top. So is to measure it and to basically think, what is it doing? Is it stepping on top? If it's missing, is it a hoof? What size is it? What shape is the hoof? Does it have toes like the leopard track Jamie showed you? Does it have claw marks, which you'll see often in wild dog and hyena? So those are the things you start looking for. And then you can page through a beautiful book like this and find whatever track it is that you're looking for. So I hope that has helped you in your decisions or understandings of tracks this afternoon. And, well, just one final beautiful moment. We spoke about grasses earlier. And grasses are just so pretty, aren't they? Hello, Mason. You want to know the rarest animal out here? Well, it's probably a pangolin. I haven't seen a pangolin out here, although Tristan, who was not out this afternoon, he had a pangolin up in the Masai Mara not long ago. He found lions, and they were playing with a pangolin like it was a rugby ball. Anyway, I don't know what happened there. But here we've got some beautiful grasses, and can you believe it? This time of year, these are the flowers of the grasses. Look how beautiful those flowers are, and each of them are unique. They make a very nice arrangement for your mom's table. She would love this on her dinner table. But each of them has got different values. They all taste different. They have different reasons for being out here. Some of them are just there to bind the soil and stop it from washing away. Some of them are there for providing very nice seeds for the birds to feed on. Some of them are used by the birds to make their lovely nests that they live inside. And, well, some of the animals will choose some of these grasses over others because they taste a lot better. Just like some people like apples and some like grapes. Other people like things much sweeter than that. And all the grasses out here got a different taste, a different value. And, well, aren't they just so pretty? Anyway, this is a very good time of year to learn your trees and grasses and to really understand what this bush looks like in the time of abundance, even though it is very hot. Hello, Emily. How many animal tracks do we find today? That's a very difficult question to ask. In the winter months, the tracking is much easier because the ground is dry. This time of year, when we get some rainfall, the rain makes the ground quite hard. It makes it quite difficult to see the tracks, but we find hundreds every single day. But normally, we're looking for sort of the cats. So those are the tracks we're looking for, leopard or lion tracks or wild dog or cheetah. And then when we find those, we definitely try and follow. But finding kudu tracks and finding other smaller animal tracks basically just means we know that they've been here, but we're not really looking for them. Unless we were doing an assessment and we wanted to go on a walk just for tracking, we're not really looking at all those other tracks. But it's nice to be able to identify kudu versus an impala versus a nyala. And through the tracks, you can talk about what exactly it is that they do. Because that's what it's all about. Through the foot, whatever the foot looks like, will detail to you what that animal does. Does it have claws? If it's got claws, then it means that it digs or it uses itself for running and chasing things. If it's got claws you can't see, well, it might just be a leopard. And let's go see how Jamie's got along with her leopard search.
No luck with our lovely leopard, and in fact, all of the animals seem to be hiding. So although I'm looking for the leopard, I am actually looking for other animals as well. And believe it or not, I cannot seem to find one this afternoon. Apart from those wildebeest that you saw earlier, they all seem to be hiding from me. So I think all we've got to do is just enjoy the scenery, enjoy the fact that it's nice and green, because over the past few months it's been very, very dry and there's been hardly any grass. So it's nice to actually see that there's grass for the animals to eat. There's nice fresh green leaves. So there's been plenty of rain, which is a fantastic thing for the animals. There's also lots of elephant tracks, and yet I haven't managed to find one elephant. Now, Sophia, we're very lucky where we are, because Sophia wants to know if there's clean water, if there's lots of clean water or very little clean water. Now, where we are is very close to where Steve is, actually, by surprise. I will go past him. Where we are, we're very lucky because our water comes from underground. So when there's lots of rain, the water collects underground and is pumped up, and it then is stored in big tanks. So that allows us to have lots and lots and lots of clean water. So we're very lucky. But throughout a lot of Africa, not just South Africa, but a lot of Africa, there are people who really struggle to have access to good, clean drinking water. So we're lucky, but there are lots of people who are unfortunate and don't have access to that water. And that's not because in a lot of places in Africa, there's actually quite a lot of rainfall. But the water doesn't get to the people who need it. So we get lots of clean water, not everybody does. And the animals do have to make do during the dry season with what they get. A lot of the water holes are pumped. So in other words, it's basically like somebody opens a giant tap from the water that we pump from underground. It then goes into the water hole, and then the animals have nice, clean water to drink. But there's very few places that do that. So the animals have to walk long, long distances in order to get to that clean water. But now, in summer, which is our rainy season, and we're having a big discussion about whether it's going to rain, there are lots and lots of puddles for the animals to drink from. Now, Angelica would like to know, what is the most colourful animal? Now, because you've said animal, that gives me a whole host of different answers. Because, of course, you could be talking about an insect, and we've got lots of very brightly coloured insects. Butterflies, there's some beautiful, beautiful butterflies, Charaxes, that are very, very colourful. And we've got birds, and birds tend to be some of the most colourful animals out here. Now, there's some birds, like the lilac-breasted roller, that has 7 different colours on its feathers. Pink, blue, a little bit of green, a little bit of white. There are so many different colours to a lilac-breasted roller. So that's probably one of the most colourful animals that we see out here. Steve and I are about to bump into each other. I'm just going to say hello to him. It's basically because I changed where I was going, and I came this way because of the leopard tracks. Hello. Hello, hello. Good. How are you doing? I know I wasn't going this way originally. Okay. I'm just going to take this link road and then back on my original route. Awesome. Cool. Thank you, Steve. Enjoy. Tell you a little secret. The reason that Steve's got a roof on is because I'm convinced it's going to rain, but it's looking less and less likely, and I think he doesn't need his roof. Right, on that note, unfortunately, it's time for us to say goodbye, and I'm going to stop my vehicle very quickly because this is important. Time for us to say goodbye to the students that have joined us this afternoon, or for you this morning. You've got to go about your regular school day, and we're going to continue on with our safari. So we look forward to having you. Thank you for joining us, and I hope we get to see you soon and show you some more animals. All right, for those of you continuing on with our safari, Seb's just going, I see tracks, and I'm going, I know, I see them too. That's why I stopped. Oh, no, wait. Oh, they're old lion tracks. Did you see something else? Okay, let me go back. What did we miss? What did I miss? You didn't. Oh, dear. Is that a tire track or a leopard track? Okay, let me go back to it. Seb has spotted something. I'm melting. In the middle there. Well, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. It's this car seat is broken, so I'm in Rusty at the moment, and this car seat is broken. And so as a result, I can't actually go far forward, so I can't actually reach the clutch. So this is what I'm doing. Fortunately, I have my absolutely revolting booster seat. Isn't it beautiful? I got tired of sitting on the manky bum blankets. So now I have a manky cushion all of my own. Bought on a sale. It's got pineapples on it. Hilarious. Absolutely. Oh, you fell out of the car. Hilarious. Right. This rusty situation is going to break my back. They're lion tracks, Seb. Well, Sana's tracks are pretty fresh, and they're coming into this drainage line. These are lion tracks from yesterday. But let me just check that area again. For those of you who are a little bit confused about what is going on, we are live from Djuma Private Game Reserve in the Greater Kruger National Park area of South Africa. You can send through your questions on #SafariLive on Twitter, or alternatively on the YouTube chat stream. I hope you got all that. I was rushing it because, of course, you saw Steve earlier. He's driven on past us. He's headed in that direction. Let's see if there's anything that way with him.
Hello, everybody. I hope you are all doing wonderfully well. Well, I am back from a short stint of leave. My name is Steve, of course, and I'm joined on camera by Craig, and it is a warm and sweltering afternoon. Jamie's told you all the housekeeping, so we're going to continue on. We are looking for absolutely anything. Let's just see if we can maybe identify a few grasses today, a few trees. They are flowering, they are in fruit. We have been anticipating some rain, so we've got our roof on the top here, but it is a very warm 36 degrees Celsius, 96 degrees Fahrenheit. Warmer before I went, but the humidity is unbelievable. Anyway, we'll get through it. Lots of fluids. But this time of day, you can be almost certain that most of the animals are going to be. And, well, if they're lying down flat under one of these bushes, Craig's got sitting on there, seeing if there are any tracks about. I know there were some cheetah side, and well, I seem to be losing a little bit of signal. We'll see if we can follow up on any cheetah tracks, but anyway, welcome back to myself, and we'll go back up to the Mara with Isaac.
Well, welcome back to Masai Mara, and where we are, we're sticking out 3 very beautiful little cubs. With me is my cameraman Bugay, and he's where you can see there. It might seem very empty, but it's concealing these 3 beautiful cubs. When we came in, we saw the last one run and quickly hid underneath that little hole over there. We are going to stake out this in a spot, and hopefully he's gonna pop his beautiful head out so you can, also get to see him. There are 3 of them. We saw them about 4 days ago, and they were in that bush down there, and then the mother moved them here, and they formed their new home over here. They've been here about 3 heading to around 4 days, and they will be here for the next maybe 1 week, and then the mother, when the scent grows to be very strong, she will move them again to another different point. I would say right now she's not here, unless I'm very wrong, and maybe she's gone to stake out the next spot where she's going to move them to. The reason she needs to move them every other week or so is that hyenas and other predators could pick up that strong scent, or if the scent gets very strong, and they might come and kill them. So she'll need to move them every couple of days, and also even move them closer to where there's easy hunting for her. So in this case, I cannot tell exactly if she's here or not, but when we came in, there was nobody. It was just the cubs, and we saw the last one run and quickly hid in that hole. This is the behavior they portray when their mother is not here. Usually, they will have, a babysitter who is... Yes, about infrared. We are going to be using it when it gets dark, really dark. We've already mounted it, and we're just waiting to get dark so we can use it. It's our only way of observing, game without disturbing it, and we're very lucky to have this kind of equipment. Not everybody has got the privilege to have it. So we're going to be using it later. We are on it, but it's not as strong as it's supposed to be when it's really dark. Yes, I was explaining about, how mothers sometimes have a babysitter stay behind and take care of the cubs while the other goes hunting or goes to seek out a new home. In this case, it looks like both the two females that have been hanging around here left, and they know that there's no danger, and that's why they're away. While we continue, waiting for these females to come back, we'll take you back, to South Africa with Steve, and then, with his impalas.
Well, good luck up in the north there, Isaac. Back down here in Djuma, where it is still bright and sunny. We have found a small family of impala. And what James Hendry was doing last night was trying to find the sausage tree pride by following the buffalo. And well, sometimes that works. Sometimes you can find a cheetah by looking at the animals, but then generally they need to be a little bit more skittish than they are right now. But I was just commenting to Craig about how a week ago, I only went on leave about 8 days ago, how it was still very, very dry, and the grass hadn't really recovered. And there's been some rainfall since I've been gone, but also the vegetation has just grown itself into some new life. And the area you see here, we're right up in our northwestern section, close to Sydney's Dam and Sandy Patch area. And this area is extremely well utilized by the animals. And it's important and interesting to know that most of the species and forbs and plants growing here are either annual, which means that they are seeds that have regenerated from last year's stock, or they are very unpalatable grasses. But when they are growing and green, they are generally quite tasty in the early stages. But as they start to dry, they definitely lose that flavor. They have a lot of chemicals, but everything growing here around the watering hole is going to be nutritious, fresh, and lots of minerals that the animal's looking for. And especially the forbs, lots of wild flowers, lots of little forbs on the ground there that the impala is thoroughly enjoying. Hello, Deja Vu. You want to know if there's any poisonous plants? There are a few poisonous plants. Such a poison ivy is not necessarily poisonous. It's got a stinging element to it. If you touch your skin, it burns your skin. But I think you could probably actually make a tea out of poison ivy and drink it. That's what determines poisonous versus venomous, I suppose. But on the skin, poison ivy or a nettle will be very, very painful. But to taste or as a nutrient source, they are very, very tasty. I'll see if I can find your poisonous plant. There's not a huge amount of them out here, but there are enough that survive out in the African wilderness to obviously survive the onslaught of the animals. And the most noticeable of them is the huge candelabra euphorbia, which I know there's one on Torchwood. I haven't found one yet on Djuma, but there's lots of small little plants as well, which have got nutrients and poison in them as well. But I love these open areas this time of year. All of the forbs are coming forward. All the grasses are back out. And many of the grasses are basically just seeding to cover the soil again and to put that nutrients back in that has been stripped by the herbivores. And obviously the objective of that is not only to put the nutrients in, but also to bind the soil. Because when you're in an area of high utilization, because of the water, obviously, you get lots and lots of movement and the potential for erosion. So Mother Nature is very clever. It's made lots of plants unpalatable, which makes it not digestible and basically left alone. Ooh, there's a buffalo track over there. When last did you see some buffalo, Craig? There's just one lone buffalo there, seemingly heading this direction away from Sydney's dam. I haven't seen buffalo in ages, but with the growth coming through, all this greenness will attract them, no doubt. And with them as well will come the Nkuhuma pride, we hope. Well, I just want to, deja vu, not show you a poisonous plant, but a lovely plant nonetheless. This plant right here is called an ossamum, or a wild basil. And, well, if you crush this and put it on your skin, it's a beautiful insect repellent. It works very, very well keeping the insects off, so we don't have to use poison on ourselves. I actually made a carrier oil some years ago with these plants inside and applied it to my skin, and it worked very, very well. I just got quite greasy because of the oil and very dusty, but at least no chemicals. But it's got a very beautiful smell. It's got almost an aniseed sort of smell, those of you who like sambuca out there. Craig, you like it? Have a smell? And if you crush it and rub it on the skin, it works beautifully. Very, very nice. Ossamum. I can't remember the species name, but it's one of the many forbs we have growing around here at the moment, covering the ground. So I didn't get that. The wildebeest have been active. We do need some smell-o-vision. James has always told me to be very descriptive in my smells, but I'm working on it. If you've never tasted or never smelt aniseed before, it'll be very hard to explain. Some people in Europe will have tried, what's it called? Ooh, maybe we shouldn't get into it. No, we're not going to get into that discussion. That could go completely left in the new year. I know most people are having an alcohol-free January, so let's not get into absent-minded thinking. If you catch that joke, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, we're going to continue on. We are checking the west, as I suggested before, see if any of the cheetah are around. I did just hear a brief call on the radio not so long ago from someone who came from the west, from the Arathusa side, and he suggests that there are some cheetah at a pan there that I'm not too familiar with, but it's not one that's on our property, so they've probably moved off. But who knows? These animals do move. We could find absolutely anything out here. For example, we could find that buffalo that I just saw tracks of not so long ago. There's definitely going to be some birds, definitely going to be some flowers. There's a lovely little pad in there that I've never seen before. Paula, I think that's a great idea. Paula suggests, folks, that I should write a book called Medicinal Moments with Steve. I think that would actually be, at least I'd get, from the comments I get on Twitter, I think I'd at least sell 15 of them. 15, maybe more. I don't know, we're still working on it. But indeed, we're going to be delving into all sorts of medicinals now that the flowers are back. Kirsty will buy one. Thank you, Kirsty. I'll make it really cheap. But that's something. We've got one book on the way, Where Did the Goslings Go by James Hendry, and then Medicinal Moments with me, of course. I think they could be two good selling books for the SafariLive catalogue. So wonderful to see how this bush bounces back, folks. Those of you who've been with us for the months that have passed will remember how dry and desolate this all looked. And now you can't even see 5 meters into the bushes. It is really, really such an amazing system. You think it's gone, you think it's dead, and then it just bounces back. So the word resilient is an interesting one to think about. Okay, well, I'll get back to the word resilient versus stability in a moment, but to the man himself up in the Mara, James Hendry, let's see what book he would write.
Alrighty, okay, Steve's on a roll. Welcome back, Steve. Obviously, his leave has rejuvenated his very, very resilient spirit. Right, so book titles. So just say that all again. So Steve's is Medicinal Mondays. Oh, apparently Steve's on such a roll that he confused myself and James. So, medical moments with Steve. Where Did the Goslings Go by James Hendry. That sounds like a kid's book.
Yeah.
It's so sweet. Where did the goslings go? Have you seen the goslings, Mr. Elephant? Brrr, said the elephant. Have you seen the goslings, Mr. Hippo? Comes complete with sound effects that you can do for your kids. Right, what would my one be? Am I giving it away, Kirst? Kirst wants to know why I'm copywriting his book. I think it would be amazing. Oh, I can barely, that's why I keep disappearing every time I try and change the gear. It's so far away. Why Am I So Small by Jamie Patterson. What would mine be? I need help here, Kirst. It's difficult to title your own book. Okay, Lizzie raises a fair point. Lizzie says it's not a very good kids' book because they all got... The answer to where are all the goslings is they got eaten. Okay, yep, fair enough. That's not the end you want. Right, it could be one of those flappy books. You know those flappy kids' books? Mrs. Lapwing says that mine should be A Day in the Life with Brent. No, I think I'll keep my own book title. I think I'll keep my own. That's separate to Brenty's. Largely because it would be fishing in capitals. Carrying fishing equipment. More fishing. Carrying more fishing equipment. Wouldn't be a very exciting book. No, it would be a very exciting book. Okay. Deborah, there you go. Deborah says, where are the hyenas hiding? By Jamie Patterson. And you know what the answer is? Little Gowrie, Deborah. That's the end of the book. Okay, it's not the end. It's the end of this particular installment of Where Have the Hyena Goes. Where have the hyena goes? Where have the hyenas gone? It's just it's just one part of a series. Need something. Jim has suggested that I write a book about the effect of Cole's Law. Those of you who've missed out on what Cole's Law is, basically Cole's Law is when we request a link or whatever happens that the other guide is sending you across to us, and as soon as it happens, the animal either disappears or stops what it was doing, or we've added one to that list because it happened to Tristan in the rehearsal yesterday. When you are doing your closing, which requires because that's when the credits roll, ideally requires a static frame so that the credits can roll without blocking anything or anything like that. When your animal decides to disappear so that the credits run across the back of your head, That's also part of Cole's Law. So Cole's Law by Jamie Patterson. A recipe involving cabbage, carrots, mayonnaise, and contrary animals. No, you see, I want a Game of Thrones epic about hyenas. Throne of Dens. Jaws of More. And, something else. Into the Dragon's Den, but it's into the Hyena Den. Game's all about that. What about a song of Life in the Den with Jamie Patterson? Craig says laughing with hyenas. That is from Craig, yeah? I like the hyena whisperer. Too easy, I think. Also, I've never actually managed to do much whispering to them. It's usually consistent of, "Oi, stop it! Stop chewing my car!" Whoops and Cackles by Jamie Patterson. Whoops, Cackles, and Bones. Whoops, Cackles, and Bones. Alright, I don't know why that entertained me so much. But apparently I'm sending you across to Steve to continue gathering recipes for his medicinal book. He has tadpoles. I wonder if he can add those to the list.
Whatever book you would write, no doubt it'd be a wonderful book. Anyway, look what we found next to the road in a little puddle of water. A big male bullfrog. And, well, you can tell that by those very strange-looking eyes. He ducked under the water as I got out, and we've been hoping he's going to come up again. Now, the bullfrog is a very, very cool frog. Really interesting how they behave. And what actually happens is the male has the potential, or probably the female as well, but they're able to, when the dry season comes and the water dries up, cover themselves up in a very sticky sort of like a cocoon, ensconce themselves in sort of a watery sort of placenta in a way, and then just burrow themselves into the mud, which then dries, cakes, and they basically just go into a sort of hibernation or torpor, where they just spend the whole rest of the year doing nothing. And then as the rains come, males and females will accumulate at sort of wet, watery holes. They'll mate. The females will obviously lay the eggs. Well, that's where the mating happens. The females lay eggs and the males deposit sperm. But one of the unique characteristics of bullfrogs, you'll probably see Craig will frame up a few of the tadpoles that are hanging around in the shallows. And, well, what happens is that the bullfrog tadpoles grow very, very well in shallow water because that's where it's nice and warm. Because of the warmth, they grow much quicker. They're feeding on insect larvae and vegetation, but they have the potential to get stranded. Now, what does male bullfrog will do? There's two things that are so important. First of all, he's able to protect them. They've been known to charge other organisms that come too close to the watering hole. I think I was a little bit too big for him to charge. But then what they can also do is just over on the left over here, where you can sort of see the muddy channel is starting to dry up there. They've been known to move to those areas and actually dig and form a channel between one dried up pan to another. It is one of the most incredible things seen in an organism of this size. They'll actually be able to open up channels so that as the water goes low, where the tadpoles are choosing to do their sort of growth, and then he can open up so that they can go into the next level. Because obviously, before they've metamorphosized into frogs with legs, they are completely dependent on water. I find that fantastic. I haven't seen a bullfrog in the wild in some time now. You do hear them. Well, there he is. Those very characteristic eyes. Craig spotted him as we came past, just in this very little shallow, muddy pond the side of the road. I don't know how long it's going to last. We should hopefully get some more rain. But a very interesting discussion on the frog. And, well, obviously the importance of the youngsters in the water feeding on insect larvae, mosquitoes. Is that impala fighting there? I think there's a little bit of aggression happening behind us over here. Almost sounds like a rutting impala, but it's not. Well, it is, I mean. The male impala, still a little bit of such aggro inside him, chasing the female around. There we go. Very interesting. All the little small things that we find out on safari. That's a great question, child of the universe. I don't know if anything digs them up. I think the little casing that they cover themselves in is almost like that of a foam nest frog. It's very sort of distasteful and not very nice to the taste. But I'm not 100% sure. No doubt a lot of them do get eaten in the dry season, but I don't know if there's a specific animal that goes around digging them up. We do have lots of our wading sort of birds, with the probers. They're able to dig their beaks into sort of the mud and into the shallows, and well, no doubt if they found or came across a bullfrog, they would most certainly try and grab him. But that's a very good question. Very good question. I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, from our bullfrog, we're going to continue on down the western side. Ooh. How big would he be? Well, he'd probably be about this size in my hand. And very, very powerful frogs. With their back legs, they will kick and dig open a channel of mud. And that is the dad staying there being very protective, which I think is really incredible for small organisms. You generally don't find many of the small organisms spending too much time with their youngsters. They just sort of have eggs and then they move off. But the bullfrog, quite unique in that sort of parenting capability. And, you know, they'll eat all sorts of things. Once they hatch out there, they grow extremely fast. And they come out within weeks onto land, and they'll eat absolutely everything, including each other. So the adults, once they've allowed them to get to that stage, I think they move off very quickly before the very hungry animals, before very hungry children decide it is time. Well, I've got a poisonous plant for you over here. Who was it that wanted a poisonous plant? There we go. I picked a flower because there are so many of them on this, which is known as the poison apple. And the poison apple, once this flower is ripened and germinated, or should I say germinated, it forms a very nice yellow cherry tomato-like fruit, which should never be mistaken for a cherry tomato because, well, it is part of the nightshade family and it has the potential to poison you from the inside. And, well, that is not ideal if you eat it. And most things out here don't eat it. I'm going to keep that one. There we go. It's all part of the potato and tomato family, interestingly enough. They aren't poisonous. Green potatoes apparently are. Rosalind, what a great question. You know, I think animals out here, a lot of them have learned what to eat. They learn what works for them, what doesn't. We as well as people have passed down information to each other about things that we want to ingest to make us vomit. For example, ingesting seawater is a very common practice in many traditional sort of beliefs in Africa because it makes you regurgitate. It is an emetic, and there's a number of plants out here which are emetics. And if you're ever feeling really, really rough, what do? Sometimes we stick fingers down our throat. I think some animals, lions, leopards, they feed on grass. It makes them regurgitate. So I don't know if animals, many of them decide, I feel like getting quite ill, or I don't know this plant, let me have a little nibble. Oh, we got a little spotted thickney. Craig is on form with the spots. Ooh, and they're running. To the left, Craigo. Oh, you got him. Look at that. How did you spot that, Craigo? That is a spotted thickney, ladies and gentlemen. You see how spotted the back is? Previously known as a dikkop, which is a very interesting name, translated from Afrikaans meaning thick head, which is not very nice, is it? But they've got a very large eye and, well, quite a thick knee, and hence the name thick knee. And spotted because they're spotted, and, well, they are nocturnal because of the big eye. But anyway, nocturnal animals are not only here in Djuma, but also up in the Masai Mara with Isaac.
Here we have a silverback jackal. We were dashing towards where we heard some noise. We thought there was some animals fighting, but we could not ignore this beautiful nocturnal silverback jackal. Very curious. He just came in front of the vehicle. In fact, I think if he moves closer, he might have to go underneath the car. Okay, that's a good idea. It is not common to see them this relaxed. So this guy is actually very relaxed. Those big ears, he's listening for something. It is not common once they've eaten for them to be active, but because they are diurnal and nocturnal, both, they're still looking for something. Oh, there we go. Something else has just come by. Oh, some elephants. Huh. Look, yeah, he just decided to elephant watch. I think there are two. There was another one. I don't know where he's disappeared to. I'm sure he can see them very well because they have very good sense of hearing. And he could hear them very well, when they were coming, and he could still see them right now. I couldn't see them myself. We are restricted to how far we can see now. If it wasn't for the infrared lights, I would not be able to see this little cute guy. Jeremiah, thank you for your comment. It was actually a beautiful interaction. I don't know what he smells. Maybe there's a dung beetle there. That's what he's looking at. What can you hear? The silverback jackal, pair for life. So the other one is not very far. We did see them earlier. They were to my right, and I think the other one has disappeared off to the right in the long grass. At this time of night, anything is welcome. Anything is welcome. Anything is on the menu. You talk about grasshoppers, dung beetles, termites, if they can find, the really big ones, and even, nightjars, small scrub hairs. Yes, I'm talking about, about you. He did turn around and look at me. This is one of the common predators in the Masai Mara. Although we haven't seen that many, they are numerous, and we never go for a day without seeing one. In my culture, they are a sign of good luck. If you see one, it means you are in the better side of things. And I don't know what is ahead of us, so we're going to continue following him, and hopefully he can lead us to something else. Earlier on, as we were back there, I did hear some noises, and I thought it was either lion fighting, and that's why I left the cubs, and I'm hoping to find you something nice, further down the road. So allow me to continue on and see what we can find, further down. I don't know where he disappeared off. Kathy, sorry, those two are different. The black-backed and the silverback jackal are one. The side-striped is a different one. The side-striped is slightly larger, and they are solitary. We do find them here in the Mara, but they are not as common as the black-backed or the silverback jackal. What I have here is a black-backed or the silverback jackal. The side stripe is much shyer, hears the vehicle and disappears off. It's slightly bigger. I would put it in the size of a coyote, although I've never seen one. He's still, heading down the road. I hope I don't disturb him. Hey, little guy, what are you up to? I don't know if we can see him. He's right in front of the vehicle. It's hard to pick him up with our lights. He's too far away. I don't know what he's listening to. Maybe he's listening to his partner, who was with us a while, but he decided to leave the road and leave the road and head into the bushes. He keeps turning and looking to the right, so maybe he's hearing his partner trying to spook something, and maybe it's an ambush they've set. She's not very worried about us. Hello. What are you up to? Sometimes they like the road because during the course of day, it's the only place that gathers heat. So right now it's still nice and warm, and he might be wanting to lie down. If he decides to do so, I will have to leave him because I don't think I would like to be disturbed if I want to have a snooze. They have that typical black tip of tail, that stripe, that's a very short stripe on the side, and a very sliverish. Andy, thank you for your question. Just very much like any other thing, if you approach it arrogantly or at a high speed with a vehicle, animals are able to detect that you are not a peaceful person, and they'll, run away. The way we approached him is we came very politely, we stopped there, and we let him get used to our vehicle. And that is the reason he's very comfortable with me. Looks like he's having a bad tummy, and he's just about to throw up. Yeah, something just came out. Usually dogs do this, and most cats do this. Usually they regurgitate that hairball that is disturbing or irritating their stomachs, and then they move on. Yeah. As I continue staking out this guy and see what he's going to do, I'm going to link you back to Jamie, who has got some beautiful elephants.
Alrighty, so while Isaac continues to enjoy a truly relaxed jackal sighting, we are sitting with a herd of elephants. Kirsty, can you hear me? Do you have my audio back, or you got my audio, Seb? Well, we'll find out in roughly 8 seconds whether or not Kirsty can hear me. Awesome. Okay, wonderful. Look who else came back. Out from behind the tree it was hiding behind. It's been so thoroughly entertaining, this little elephant, because it's all alone. It hasn't got another elephant of its own age around it, and it has just been entertaining itself. And there's something so thoroughly charming about watching a baby elephant play. No, now you're going back. Look, he's shy, Seb. Every time we turn the camera onto him, he goes hiding. Oh, there we go. There we go. Now we're out. I think it's a little boy. Looks like it is. Oh, don't go hide behind the female. It's found a companionship in the form of a much older elephant. Now, that's definitely not Mum, because that little elephant, oh, there we go, is far too young. No, that's not very nice to eat. Here we go. Here's a kid's book, SafariLive kid's book. What do I eat? Not that. That doesn't taste very nice. How does this trunk work? What are you strange things up in front of me? You know, little mischief. Yes, I can see your tongue. I can see your tongue. Yes, I can. Oh, well, you're so intimidating. I'm very scared, Seb. I'm so scared, Seb. You must be very careful. He's a very dangerous wild animal.
Careful.
I'm being very careful. Move very slowly. Oh, you're so cute. You are so cute, little munchkin. Yes, you are. Oh, you're doing a dance for us. That's a very good dance. Show us your dance moves. Oh, yes. Oh, very good, bravo. Oh, it got a bit scary here, did it? Okay, Seb, I don't know how to tell you this, but I think he's coming back for round 2. Oh, no, we're lucky. He's decided that we're just not worth the trouble. Oh, that was cute. Man, I love it when they do that. And this, oh, he's got a stick. Unfortunately, I don't want to move now because it's going to give it a fright, but it's picked up a dead stick that it's now trying to throw around. Come back out, little thing. Little baby Ellie. Oh man, they're wonderful at this age. There's so much curiosity and learning going on in that little brain. Learning to use its trunk, learning about the big wide world. I mean, you can imagine what it's like having that flappy thing. No, that's some dried up dung. You don't want that. No. Learning to process smells, which is all important for an elephant that doesn't see particularly well. Although youngsters at this age have much better eyesight, in my opinion, than the adults do. Learning to use those little feet to be able to navigate all sorts of terrains. It's so cool. There's an older babysitter, I think, making its way to check up on the baby, make sure that it's okay. Because, of course, that's how the young elephants learn how to be parents. Is they... Oh, is your ankle itchy? So casual. Just the most casual baby elephant anywhere. Looks like it's brushed its tail hair as well. It's got the smoothest tail hair. No, you're just going to have to keep your tail still now. There you go. It really does. Unfortunately cursed. Well, let's just give it a few seconds and let's see. Maybe it'll come out into the open again. It's quite thick around here. And Mum is moving towards the drainage line. So just give it a few minutes. Let's just see. That is a weeping wattle, little one. And that doesn't taste very nice at all. What you want to be eating is the nice green grass. Oh no, it's actually managed to find itself something. So at around about 6 months of age, to move on from the cutesiness as Mom leads little one off, at around about 6 months of age, they'll start to chew on solid food, but very, very little. Most of their nutrition is still coming from Mum's milk. And then as they grow older, just after about 6 months of age, obviously then their solid food intake will increase gradually until at around about 3, they're ready to be weaned. They don't particularly like it. Oh, someone's having a dust bath over there. But they are ready to wean. And they usually have tantrums about it. If Mum doesn't fall pregnant again, and she still isn't pregnant by the time that the little one is 3 years old, then what you will find is that she might even continue to suckle the little one until it's 5 years old, which is a very strange thing to see, because then you get this really large elephant trying desperately to tuck itself up so that it can reach Mum's mammary glands. And it doesn't really work very well. Here we go, we've got a straggler over here. Across on the other side of it. I think, unfortunately, that's the end of our little baby elephant sighting for now, but it was so utterly charming. I think he stole hearts and minds across the world in just a few little moments. I do like afternoons like this afternoon. Look, it is hot, but it smells like dust and grass and, I don't know, it's such a atmospheric experience. And do you want to know at what age an elephant is considered to be an adult? You would consider an adult elephant, or an elephant, to be an adult at around about, they reach sexual maturity anywhere from about 13 to about 15, and possibly even a bit older. So you could consider that adulthood. I tend not to, though, because they still act out a little bit. And it's only really, especially for the females, when they've had their first calves, that I find that they relax and settle into the role of what I would consider adult. I'm not sure of what proper elephant researchers might say about that, though. I think that they would probably say that a male elephant would be considered adult once he's left the safety of the herd, that a female would be considered an adult when she has her first estrus cycle. I still think of the teenage elephants as teenagers. Because most of the time they behave that way. Especially the young males. It's one of those odd ones, like when do subadults stop being considered to be subadults in lions or leopards? And when do you consider them to be adults? When does a cub become a subadult? You know that, I mean, an elephant, a female elephant could have a calf at 11 years old or 12 years old if she comes to sexual maturity earlier. Seems so young. Okay. All right. I think our Ellies are relaxing. I mentioned that it's a very atmospheric afternoon. Steve apparently has stopped to admire the view.
Well, isn't it wonderful to spend time with the gentle giants in the African wilderness? But every now and again, it's nice to just stop and admire the view. What a marvelous view it is indeed. There is definitely rain and thunderstorms somewhere down there. And finally, a little bit of respite from the heat as the sun has hidden itself behind the mass of clouds, but a huge system forecast to be over our heads later on this afternoon, evening. I have a feeling it will rain. It's been one of those really sticky, humid days that is always followed by a very, very warm rain in the evening, which just takes away the dust and just makes everything spectacular. Nice, Grego. Got a couple of birds just enjoying the view at the same time. Yellow-billed hornbill at the bottom is doing a little bit of grooming away from, I think it was yellow-billed, I might be mistaken. No, it looks like a red-billed, doing some grooming, probably while his wife is ensconced in the tree somewhere, breeding with the chicks. He has been feeding her all day, and now time for a little bit of a preening, grooming session away from the nest, and then a beautiful pair of magpie shrikes, identified by their very long tail. Black and white appearance, the magpie always black and white, and they both seem to be of the same sex because the male has got a slightly longer tail than the female. They are cooperative breeders, so they're not single sex communities. But anyway, not only do we watch beautiful birds preening in the dawn or in the dusk of the evening, we also have elephants having a little bit of a snooze.
Look, I was completely wrong about the fact that that was the end of our baby elephant sighting. Mum came back out in this direction, and so baby followed. And then, just like that, I mean, it just lay down in the middle of the road and has gone to sleep. It's the cutest thing ever. You sleepy little one. All that playing was exhausted. Lots of playing and lots of growing. I'm sorry, I know I'm cooing, but how can you help but do anything else but that? We never take this place for granted, but we get very accustomed to seeing a lot of different things out here. It becomes part of our everyday life, so much so that it becomes the norm. And we have to stop and really appreciate moments just like this. It's still quite hot. It's trying to cool itself down, flapping its ears. So it's not completely asleep. Oh, you sneeze. I can actually hear its ear flapping on the side. Alrighty. Accursed, you can help me make that call. I don't know how you feel. I think he's going to lie like this for quite a while. I think this is now nap time. Oh, twitchy. But if you feel that this is good, then I'm happy. I think something's biting him, Seb. No, we're up. We're up. Oh. little thing. Hello, hello, and welcome to those of you that have just joined our safari from around the world. We have something so special for you. It is a tiny little baby elephant, a few months old, probably close on a year now, and he's really sleepy. He's been playing all afternoon, learning how to use his trunk, and now what he really wants to do is have a nap. Have a nap here, right here in the middle of the road. Now that he's flopped down, he's given me an opportunity to actually explain what this is all about. This is 100% live from a place that is called a Djuma Private Game Reserve, which is right up in a place called the Greater Kruger National Park area of South Africa. So we're in the sort of top northeastern corner of South Africa in a massive, massive wilderness area. My name is Jamie. This afternoon, Seb is on camera with me. We are both dripping with sweat because there's a storm building up to the north of us that is threatening us. And it is midsummer, so it's really, really hot and very, very humid. So we're with this herd of elephants that, as you can see, the ears flapping backwards and forwards to help to keep themselves cool on a day like today. I think the real feel now must be close on 40 degrees. Denise, you say that this is adorable. It's so cute. A moment ago, which you missed out on unfortunately, but a moment ago he was actually really curious about our vehicle, and he came running up to us with his mouth open and his trunk up, and then couldn't quite find the courage to get too close, and then ran back to his mummy. Now, the adult elephants are so used to seeing us out on safari that they're not at all bothered by our presence. So you can see they're perfectly comfortable with us. We have them walk right up close to the vehicle very regularly. So close that we could touch them. We don't, of course, because that would not be appropriate for a wild animal. Now, remember, because this is live, you can actually send a question through, which is exactly what Katie has done. Wants to know whether or not they can sleep and flap their ears at the same time. They can doze and flap their ears. It's not a proper deep sleep when they... Oh, shame. I do think something there that's biting him. Something that's making him really uncomfortable, because every time he lies down, he starts twitching like that. So they can do that, but when they're asleep, when they're properly in deep sleep, then they don't move very much at all. Now, of all the animals out here, elephants sleep the least. Oh, is she going to go wake him up? Hopefully not. She's going to feed right next to him. They sleep the least, but the little ones have to sleep every single day, usually more than once. And what the herd will do is they'll stop wherever they are, wherever the baby decides to sleep, and they will stand around it and protect it until it is ready to wake up. Sometimes they'll even, if it's really hot and there's no shade, they'll even stand so that the baby can sleep in their shade, and they'll stand in the baking hot sun until the little one is ready to stand up and move along. One thing that I have seen, which could happen here, is that sometimes elephants actually have to wake the babies up, and they really don't want to. Look, look, look. And sometimes they even nudge them up with their feet. Oh, little boy. He really doesn't want to wake up. Oh. I know that exact feeling.
Oh, did you hear that?
A little expulsion of digestive gases and we're up. That'll get you going. First thing in the morning. Oh, now he's all cuddly. You know how babies and puppies and kittens are cuddly when they're sleeping and they wake up? Now he's all cuddly. Now he's all scratchy as well. He's itchy from the dirt. Oh, that was just too precious. That rollover I just could relate to so clearly. When you get up, and we get up very early. We get up at around about 3:30, 4:45 in the morning every morning. So that's exactly what I look like when I get up in the morning. I sort of sit up and then collapse over the opposite direction. Bye, little one. There's Mum. That's the big elephant that's standing behind. Now, Rachel, you want to know if elephants will also sleep standing up? They do, absolutely, particularly the adults. The babies often lie down, but the adults very seldom do, at least not for very long. They can, though. There's a story that adult elephants... Watch this thing with his trunk. He doesn't know how to use it. A lot of the time, their story is told that elephants can't lie down. They can, but they prefer not to, the adult ones. So they'll usually rest against a termite mound or up against a tree, or even just doze standing up. There's no way he wants to eat that. He's just experimenting like a young toddler. Oh, are we going down again? Oh, it's just too much. Oh, goodness. Oh, I'm just so tired. I think there's probably a chance that there's people out there who are actually a bit concerned about this little baby elephant at this stage. I promise you, you've got nothing to be concerned about. He's just tired. He's just exhausted. He's got a huge amount of growing to do and a huge amount of learning. And you know what? You'll probably find that it's been too hot today for him to sleep properly. So now he's like a toddler who hasn't had its afternoon nap. He's niggly. He's not quite asleep and he's wide awake, but he doesn't quite know what to do with himself. He belongs to quite a small herd, so it doesn't look like he's got any companions of the same age to play with. That doesn't mean that it will always be the case, because what will often happen is that elephant herds will associate with other elephant herds, so he probably has friends somewhere close by. Is that nice? That cannot be very nice. Those of you who have kids of your own, grandkids, or perhaps your friends have kids, and you watch the way they learn to use their hands. Tom, you say that this is you in the afternoons. I know this is hilarious. It's so relatable. Have you ever had one of those accidental day naps where you actually sleep for far too long and when you wake up you don't know who you are, what is going on, where you are in space or time? I feel like this is what's just happened to this baby elephant. Come on, you could do it. There we go. And there they go, moving off towards the river system that's down there. That was absolutely awesome. How amazing. There is nothing more special than a little baby elephant just like this. Now, that brings us to the end of a nice little elephant surprise for you. If you want to continue on with your safari, you can Google SafariLive and you'll find us live right here, right now, between two different locations in the Masai Mara in Kenya and here in South Africa. And we're on every day, twice a day. Cool. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope we'll see you with us on safari soon. For our regular viewers, I'm sure you're wondering why we can't go forward any further. It's because I'm worried about our signal. So I'm happy to try it now with our loyal, trusted audience, but I didn't think it was such a good idea to do while we were broadcasting to the rest of the world. Okay, cool. Chris says signal's fine. Let me give it a go. But I think it's going to vanish here, so while I do that, we'll send you back over to Steve, who I'm sure is very, very jealous of us.
Accidental day naps. Well, I must say I do enjoy a day nap, but that feeling when you wake up, if you've slept for a little bit too long and you wake up and you don't know what's going on, that is one of the worst feelings. You wake up and you think it's the next day, when actually it's the same day. Problem is, I suppose, is when you need to go to work. That's when it's a bit confusing. that sort of jet lag feeling. Too cute. Oh, there's a log in the road there. Who put that there? That's going to cause an accident shortly. Oh, well, we've just been marveling. We had a very nice looking sunset that was descending on the horizon there, but you guys were having so much fun with that elephant that, well, we had to let it pass, but that's okay. We'll show you another sunset tomorrow. Paula, you want to know if we grow our own vegetables here? Well, it's something I'd like to do. I've grown my own vegetables for years. I really do enjoy the process of composting and earthworms and then providing your own food. But it's an undertaking if you want to try to do it out here. You need those very cute little elephants you saw just now. They can be a very big problem if you've got a watered, beautiful garden. This time of year, maybe not so much, but in the dry season, you'll have to have your vegetable garden electrified, baboon-proofed, monkey-proofed. It is quite an undertaking, but I do know people who have done it, and it is quite successful in parts of the world, but it does require a budget and quite a bit of sort of getting all the stuff together. There's definitely something I would like to do. I wouldn't mind being a part of, but then on days like this one, we did a little bit of work around camp today, and it is so incredibly hot that all you want to do is swim and have a nap, day naps. So the problem would be then who is responsible for the garden and who's going to work and toil. Oh, there goes a black-bellied bustard, or is it a Korhan? It's hard to say sometimes. Look, Craig is trying his sports camera work. There it goes. He's going to go behind the car. I think it was a black-bellied bustard. I didn't really... He's gone. He just took off out from the long grass, yeah. And he looked like he had a lot more black on him. Really hard initially to see when they take off. But I think it was a black-bellied. Craigo, good camera work indeed. He was shuffling to get to that. Keep them on their toes. This time of year, you can see how anything can just pop out of the bushes anywhere, and who knows what it could be. But a beautiful time of year nonetheless. We spoke about the bullfrog burying itself into the ground in the mud. There is a little bit of mud on my face because of the school drive. They asked me if we have fun on our drives, and I found a watering hole with some mud, and I started having some fun. It did start off being quite fun. a little bit of Rafiki mark on my face. Simba. We'll see in The Lion King. Anyway, Craig was telling me a story about he followed honey badgers in Namibia for 6 months, 5 months, Craig? Quite a while. 1 month. Okay, anyway, 1 month. I almost had it. And they watched a honey badger dig a frog out of a very deep hole in the ground. No doubt it was a bullfrog that it cocooned itself in their sort of winter solstice, their winter torpor period, and it managed to dig it up. But he said a really deep hole in the bank. So that's how deep into the mud they can go. So Craig's seen honey badgers do it. I've never seen a bird doing it. I've no doubt that there are creatures out there that are able to do it. I mean, the honey badger's got quite good hearing, and they sniff things out and dig it out the ground. They also do that with the numerous amounts of dung beetles and dung balls that are being buried at the moment, a very important part of this time of year. And as you just move around, the light is fading now, but there are holes everywhere as the dung beetles is burying all of this organic material into the soil and bringing all that organic nutrients back into the cycle, and well, so that if we wanted to, we could indeed grow our own vegetables. Well, a herd of buffalo has crossed the road here, heading in that direction. I wonder where they're going. That way is sort of Treehouse Dam, Twin Dams area. Maybe there'll be some buff there, but that was a sizable little group with all the organic material they leave behind. Is a very important part of the process this time of year, the disturbance they create on the ground, as well as all the organic material that they leave for the dung beetles, for the flies, all the insects that then proliferate off them, which then come back and feed the honey badgers and all the other insect-eating animals out here. It's all derived from the growth and the original nutrients in the soil. And the plants take it up through the sun, who we were watching set not so long ago. And the cycle is just unbelievable. Nature is a special place. And well, we spend the whole year waiting for summer again to see all the insects like the bullfrogs do. And then when it gets here, we realize how hot it is. And do we really want to grow vegetables in such heat? We would definitely need to devise some shade cloth netting. I know that Israel has done very, very well. I think they're world leaders of the initial sort of veggie growing in Africa because of the shade conditions required. A lot of the plants obviously growing commercially are not indigenous to Africa. So not that Israel's in Africa, but it's in sort of the heart of where it's very hot. And so most of the plants that are grown as vegetables come from much sort of milder climes where obviously elephants didn't occur, but also where the temperatures are not as exorbitantly hot as they are down here. So they don't have to only tend with the heat, but with the animals, the baboons and the elephants. And that's one of the biggest reasons, the biggest wildlife-human conflicts is when it comes to crops and obviously livestock. But anyway, an area in the world where there has been lots of human and wildlife conflicts and will continue to do so, up in the Mara, the Maasai, with Isaac.
Here I am still, looking for something. The last animal I saw was a mongoose. Before that it was a jackal. I thought it was a good sign of good luck, but since then I haven't seen much. This is sometimes how it is. You come here hoping to see something, and they all decide that it's not the right time for you. So I'm still driving on the main road towards one of the small bridges and hoping to find something for you. I don't know what's gonna be, but the last about 20 minutes it has been just driving. Every now and then I've seen some eyes using my spotlight, but quickly whoever it is has disappeared into the bushes. I'm hoping still to find something using either the eyes or just coming around the corner and finding somebody on the road. Sometimes is the case. There is a lot of flies that are being attracted by this spotlight, so it's Paula, thank you for your question, but it's very hard to find one at this time of day. Those ones, I think I can find them more in camp, where we are able to walk around. Over here, if I walked, I think I would be on the menu immediately. So I would rather stick to the road and the car, and we can, one of these fine days, we'll find you a chameleon. Hopefully you'll be watching. Here is some elephants. I'm gonna stop because I think I also need a little bit of a break here from going around. It looks like three young males, and they just came out of the bush to my left. At the moment we have just like an outbreak of elephants. I don't know where they've come from. Ooh, just swallowed a fly, sorry. Yeah, you see all the little moths flying around. They are being attracted by my headlights. Hopefully they can go down now and relax. These two guys looks like they're not very comfortable. They're actually three. They're not very comfortable with us. So we're gonna continue on down the road, and hopefully, you know, something will pop by. This time of day, most nocturnals will come out, and here we do have porcupines, we do have leopards, we do have honey badgers, and many, many more. As I continue looking for something for you, I'll link you back to Jamie, who's got better things to show than me, and I'll continue struggling. I'll see if I can find you something.
Isaac's book can be, I don't know why I swallowed a fly. By Isaac. I'm terrible. I actually don't know Isaac's surname. I've never met him, obviously, because he's been in the Mara. My sincerest apologies. I don't actually know Isaac's surname. How beautiful is the light on a totally different subject? It is just Rottage. Isaac Rottage. Thank you, Kirst. Thank you very much. It is absolutely glorious out here. Now what we're doing is we're doing a quick circuit around quarantine. The reason being that, as you know, it is, well, maybe you don't, it is a slightly shortened drive for the Sunset Drive. We're going to be sending out the drone, our thermal drone, to go and search for things. I have a rough idea of Hosanna, or where Hosanna might be. Unfortunately, it's an area where we don't have signal, but he's going to be coming out around about now. So we're going to be searching for him, I think. And of course, you can join us if we keep watching the space, because if we do pick up on something, then we will go live and we will bring Steve in to see what it is. So I'm just lurking at the moment. There's some very fast, no, they're just babies. I saw some fast moving impala up ahead. No, they are running. I think they're just playing, all gathering together. Kathy says that everything has got a lovely pink hue. It does, doesn't it? It's really beautiful. A pink hue. It's beautiful. It's nice and cool. I'm no longer perspiring large droplets of sweat. Lovely. Absolutely lovely. Seb gave me instructions this afternoon when we went out on safari. He said to me that we're not allowed to actually stop for anything. We have to just keep moving so we can keep the wind flowing over us. Alrighty, I can see our trainees. That was a terrible place I stopped there. They don't realize they're live. There's Patrick and Lauren in the back. Now, 2T wants to know if we will go live with this on YouTube. We will not, unfortunately. We will be only on Facebook, on our Safari Live page, as well as on our Periscope page. So that is where we will be broadcasting live from if we manage to actually locate something, which takes a fair degree of persistence. Fortunately, we have a great amount of skill and concentrated in one human sitting at the back behind the camera, our drone commander. He is ready for action. I see his drone sitting neatly on the back of the vehicle. So we're going to go and set that up shortly. Off you go. Telling them to go to the meeting place. Shame, they're looking at me with questions in their eyes. Here you go. Quick view of the Impala in the gold, and we're going to send you across to Steve, who apparently is doing an absolute Ferrari safari. I don't know what he's heading to.
Hello everybody. You might notice that we're going a little bit fast. Last Minute Leopard is on its way today, and we've been given a report. Let me just tell Elvis quickly. Thank you, Elvis. I'll be there in 2 minutes, 1 minute. And someone has decided to pop in on the western side on the fire break. And hopefully we're going to get him, because we know that Last Minute Leopard is something that we love out here. And well, I just got back from leave and I haven't seen this gentleman in a long time. I wonder if you can guess who it is. We're just going to go down the road here and then hit the fire break and go west into the beautiful orange setting sun. And hopefully we get to show you those very powerful Jeremiah. I have spent so much time with Tingana in the last few months. It is not the Duke of Djuma. Look into my eyes. He is the one that makes your knees shake when you view him. I'm sure you all know exactly who that is. And coming in from the west. Dun, dun, dun. Chris Rokes, you are 100% on the money. It is indeed Hukumuri himself. And, well, he's just up the road here. We're just going to pull in a second. And we should be seeing vehicles shortly. That is a beautiful thing about having a radio. Having a radio is that I almost took the fire break to come down, and then something told me not to. Now we have got vehicles with him crossing in from our sort of southwestern side. So I'm just going to go a little bit quicker up ahead here. I still don't see a vehicle. We are probably going to extend the show by a moment or two. Obviously, we'd like to show you the leopard, and if he happens to be a minute late, well, that's not any of your fault, now is it? Okay, so I'm just listening on the radio for any more information. Okay. Okay, are you ready? Are you ready? Craigo, you got him there? Sorry about the roof, folks. There he is. The characteristic tongue of Hukumuri. Hello. I love his eyes. I just absolutely love the look of this gentleman. Well, last minute leopard, there you have it. We promised you one. Well, only 2 minutes ago, but there it is. And he's sitting on top of the termite mound, looking rather hungry as he delves into Djuma. Everyone is quite excited. I'm excited. I haven't seen Hukumuri since July, I think. No, even earlier than that. Last time was with Senzo. He ate that warthog. Becky, that is exactly where the term comes from, last minute leopard. All of you out there, I remember in the beginning you'd all say LML, and I never knew what that was. And then, come on, Steve, last minute leopard, of course. And well, there he is, doing what he does best, sitting on top of a termite mound. You see, he is really hot. He's probably only just started moving not so long ago. And well, that is the way it works, folks. What a way to end this first afternoon safari back here in Djuma. Very excited to see Hukumuri back in. He's obviously moving into Tingana's territory. And who knows what interaction these two might have. Well, there's been rain since I've been away, and no doubt these individuals need to remark their territories. But thank you for joining us this afternoon safari on, obviously, here in Djuma and up in the Masai Mara. Hukumuri to end the show. But Jamie had some wonderful elephants, and so did Isaac. Thank you for joining us. We will see you again tomorrow morning, bright and early, on safari again. And I hope you have a beautiful evening. Good night.